I would like to welcome you again, sir. I'm so sorry for the technical problem that we have faced. I'm so sorry for that. And I would like to welcome our professor, Thomas. You are held welcome. I'm so sorry for the delay, and I'm so sorry for the technical problem. So now, as we are online with our channel, so you are held welcome, and you have the speech. You can start from the beginning too, because of the people who are watching us. Yes. So
Um,
you have the speech, sir.
so
I'm so sorry for the
hello everybody again. It seems that I'm back live again. So let me start from the scratch. My name is Tomasz Kasprowicz. I'm a professor at WSB University in Poland, Dąbrowa Górnicza. And today I will be talking about the report I wrote with my friend about the future of work in developing countries. This report is a part of the Visegrad Insight program called Democracy. This is a program that is created to foster the democracy in the developing countries. And we have cooperating with journalists and researchers from various countries, mostly in Central and Eastern Europe. The report I will be discussing is freely available online on the Visegrad Insight webpage. So if you're interested in what I have to say and would like to read more, please feel free to Google it. And you can download it for free. So that's added bonus of today. And today I would like to discuss the question about how the labor market is changing in recent years, and how it will be changing in the coming years, and what impact it will have on developing countries. This is focused on the Central and Eastern Europe, but applies mostly to almost all of the developing countries. To make an introduction and much more about that you can read in the report itself, but due to the time constraint, I'll be only discussing the bare minimum. The biggest change that we are facing is, of course, the automation and the advent of AI in the labor market. According to the reports of various institutions like McKinsey's, PwC, we can see that in the coming 15 years, about half of the jobs, or actually half of the tasks that we perform, will be automated. It means it will be done for us automatically by the machines. The good news is that most of this job is a repetitive and boring job that we don't really like. This is actually the common theme of automation and mechanization through the last 200 years, because the machines replaced us mostly in those hard, dangerous jobs, and took away a lot of misery of people. So here we will be able to get rid of those jobs that are really not fulfilling our dreams of actual meaningful work. The bad news is, however, that of course, if the half of the task is outsourced, it means there is less work. And that means that people that are not so skilled are in trouble. This is so-called technological unemployment that we are basically discussing for last 200 years, starting with the Luddites in the 18th century. And so far, actually, we didn't find this unemployment, technological unemployment, to occur. But well, there are certain signs that this time around could be different than what we've seen so far. Will it be? Well, we don't know. We'll find out. But it was definitely a possibility that we have to take into consideration. This, of course, raises several issues. First issue is that this type of problem will face different countries differently, meaning as the specialization of work in the global market is progressing, clearly certain countries will have a bigger than average share of tasks that will be easily automated and could be replaced, and that could hinder the development of many of those nations. This, of course, is not certain, and we don't know how quick it will happen. But let me give you an example of two Adidas factories that were opened in Germany 3 years ago. They were completely automated factories, robotized with minimum human staff. It was supposed to be a industry 3.0 development where the manufacturing is coming back to the home countries of the large corporations. Of course, different type of manufacturing that provides very little jobs, highly automated, requiring very high level of skills from those few workers there. And this was supposed to be the future. Today, though, both of the factories are closed and the manufacturing is back where it came from, meaning Southeast Asia. Well, the reason was because all of those robots were pretty non-flexible, and any change in the design of the shoes they were producing required so much of repurposing and resetting the automats and the robots that well, all in all, it seemed that it's much less hassle to have people do it, because it's much easier to tell people to do stuff differently and they actually do it differently all the same. So there's one question of how fast we will arrive at the robots that are flexible, because those that we have right now are not. But this is not the case when, it's not the case if, it's the case of when. Also, we have a growing inclusion of AI, which is now putting under scrutiny a lot of jobs that were so far pretty safe from technological competition. We have currently robots that are dealing with diagnostics and actually are doing better jobs than humans. We have robots that are helping with air traffic, ground traffic. We have growing developments in the transport industry, where the robots are supposed to be driving trucks and also so-called autonomous cars. This doesn't really work that well, mostly because those robots have to interact with humans. And humans, as we know, are erratic and hard to predict. Probably the introduction of automatic cars would be much easier if all of the cars on the streets were actually automatic, because then they could communicate with themselves, and that would work pretty well. Unfortunately, since most of the drivers are human, that is a huge challenge. And as a wise person said, artificial intelligence will never win with natural human stupidity. Therefore, looking at those changes, we can clearly see that there is a problem, and there is a potential danger to the economies of the developing countries. So one approach that we are hearing about is to limit this technological development in order to protect the jobs. We've heard ideas like this in the past. We know they don't work, because not all of the countries will do it, and those countries that will not do it will clearly benefit and will outcompete the countries that will actually do it. So this would actually require the break of the international trade and the globalization, and at current level, this is clearly impossible, as the global logistic chains are so integrated that it's impossible basically to cut them. That would create huge losses and unrest in a lot of places in the world. So this is clearly not an option. So what are the other possibilities that we are facing? Well, the other possibility is to embrace this change and actually look at this threat also in terms of an opportunity. Why? Well, this picture should show you why. This picture shows you old age dependency ratio. What is old age dependency ratio? This is number of people older than 65 per 100 people working. So it basically says how many people are supported by 100 working people? How many old people are supported by 100 working people? And what we can see is the white dots is the situation in 1975. So this is like, say, almost 50 years ago. The blue bars is 2015, so that's 5 years ago. So let's say this is pretty recent. And the black bars is 2050. And what happens? Well, what we can see that in most countries, the old age dependency ratio will at least double. Yeah, so, well, it won't double in Japan because Japan is already one of the oldest countries in the world, but it will nearly double. But there are countries that will be actually tripling, like Spain or Korea, where it will quadruple. Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, and so on, that those are all the countries that will be more than double. This is also the case for Turkey. If we are talking about our hosts now, the old age dependency ratio, which is now very low, it still will be pretty low in 2050, but it will be much higher than right now, about 3 times as high. So we have to remember that this is a huge burden. Why? Because young people that are working need to find the time to work and pay taxes, so that those taxes that they can support the pension system, and also those taxes will support the healthcare system. And this is important. We see it during the pandemics, but imagine that what we see right now will be a common experience when we have a lot of old people, because old people tend to get sick a lot. So we have to find enough money to support the health system all the same. Also, those old people, somebody will have to take care about those old people. Of course, there are 2 ways of doing it. One way is that the family is caring for the old people. The other one, we have institutions that do that. Regardless which way we go, we need people taking care of old people. When they are taking care of the old people, they are unable to work and provide the taxes for pension system and healthcare system. So that's a problem. So if there is a person that has to stay at home and take care about the elderly parents and the husband's parents and the wife's parents, if those parents didn't have a lot of children, you can have 4 old people at home that you have to take care of. And that's more than a full-time job. That could be 2 full-time jobs, while you have to work a full-time job to support you and your children, of course, because we are not even counting them, and they also require care. So this is a huge problem, and automation could be at least partial solution to this problem on many fronts. So one front is, of course, the care. Japan is already investing a lot and having a lot of success into implementing the robots into the elderly care. This doesn't sound humane to many people. Like in Poland, we don't believe in the institutions, and everybody believes that their families should take care about the elderly. We have very few institutions that take care about the elderly. So this sounds inhumane for us, that there will be some robot taking care about our elderly. But well, this is still better than nothing. Take into consideration that a lot of people have just 1 child or no children at all. That's basically the options they're facing. Nobody, institution, or maybe a robot in an institution. I believe the overview in our host country, Turkey, is similar as far as I know, but this is also a problem that will be creeping up more and more. Therefore, as we can see, the automation is a tool that will allow us to free some time from elderly care, but also make our work more efficient, making it able for us to create enough wealth to support all of the state's programs, including pension and healthcare. So as we can see, this automation on one hand is a threat to our countries, but on the other hand is also an opportunity. It's just the case how we are going to approach this this problem and what we are going to do about it. So the first scenario we were discussing in our report, we call the arrested development, and this name comes from the possible future scenario where the automation actually doesn't work. For whatever reason, the promises of automating half of the jobs is not actually working, and we find out in the situation where we have to do everything ourselves, and we have to care about a lot of elderly people. That's a problem that we can see here. Well, the other case, even worse than the first one, is when the developing countries will actually not participate into implementation of AI and automation. And this is actually pretty likely. Here I give you some data about the amount of robots that we have per 1,000 employees. And those as we can see in the developed countries like Germany, we have about 350 robots per 10,000 workers, and growing pretty rapidly. But if we look at the developing country, the inclusion of the robots is much lower. So even Slovakia, that is considered pretty developed in that regard, because the Slovakia is relying a lot on the automotive industry, which is in turn heavily robotized, is less than a half of what we see in Germany. And not to mention even Hungary or Poland, where the amount of robots is abysmally small. And it seems that we have a long way to go to reach the level of implementation of automation that actually puts us in the front runners of the technological development. And we clearly need that in order to maintain our growth. The problem is that it seems we are ill prepared for that, and unfortunately it seems that there is little will to do something about it by the politicians and the general state system. Just to give you the overview, one part of it, for the high level of automation, we need very skilled labor force. And here just some of the top universities from Central Europe, as they are seen right now in the Shanghai ranking. And we see that the best one is in the third 100, that's Charles University in Prague. And in the fourth 100, we have Jagiellonian University in Poland. And then in the fifth 100, we have University of Warsaw. Yes, so this is not a very good spot, taking into consideration top universities in the country, not to mention Slovakia, that's even lower than that, or Hungary. So as we can see, that's a huge problem, that we are not producing enough highly skilled professionals that are able to push the automation and AI further. Also, it seems that in most of the countries, the politicians are mostly catering to the industries that are currently in trouble, and they're under huge pressure to sustain their existence by pouring the money into those sectors, because there is a lot of people employed there. In the long run, those sectors are doomed, like coal industry in Poland, for example, that consumes millions of euros every year in donations, but in the end, we know that within the next 20 years, it all needs to be closed. But instead of being closed, it's kept alive because of the social unrest that would arise in case it's not. This money could be much better spent on developing the high-tech industry, but that doesn't happen, unfortunately. Therefore, as we can see, the missed opportunities scenario number 2 is where the developed countries are actually moving forward at the fast pace, while the developing countries fail to utilize this opportunity and lag behind and go back into their subpar staging they were having a few decades ago. Well, the third scenario is an optimistic one. Is the scenario where actually we managed to overcome those problems and actually utilize the AI in order to increase the efficiency of our market. You can see here that this picture that you can see is very similar to the one we've seen before in here, but there is a small difference. Instead of having workers being replaced by robots, we see the workers being enhanced by AI. So we find a way to make people and automation work together to provide even better efficiency. And we extend this into professional activity, robotized elderly care, factories helped, that help us bridge the gap into the labor market that we see because of the aging populations. The final scenario that we are discussing is the scenario going for a populism. We see the rise of populism in many countries in the world. This picture is slightly outdated right now because Donald Trump apparently isn't with us anymore, at least on the level that he is now. But we can see that there are a lot of populists in various countries that are actually trying to stay or gain the power by trying to explain people that they will keep everything the way it used to be. This is clearly not possible in the long run because this type of changes are impossible to stop. However, this sort of making the politics is actually pretty popular recently and quite successful. Unfortunately, it leads also to the construction of international order, and as a result, it also leads to the problems in trade, creating trade wars and other types of unrest that are actually detrimental to economic activity and detrimental to what we consider economic progress. How this can be avoided? Well, this is very hard to say. Well, one part is how of the answer to this question is how fast does this technology will be evolving. It will, if it will be evolving very fast and rapidly, it will be impossible for the many individuals to adapt to the changes, and that can create electorate for the populists. Also, the other question is how do we take care about the people that will become unemployed and remain unemployed for the foreseeable future. Some claim that the universal basic income is an answer to that, but of course we have a huge doubts about its actual effects. We have provided also some policy recommendations concerning those scenarios that will allow, hopefully, those countries to achieve the second scenario, meaning the new golden age. And that requires a lot of changes and policies, which we unfortunately don't see, and we don't even see them discussed, which is discouraging. We should push them for them nevertheless. Well, definitely what is needed is more influence, more impact on the education. We need state-funded dynamic education and reskilling programs that will allow people that are currently working in the positions that will be soon automated to change their skill set. Of course, we prefer to have programmers, AI specialists, system architects, but of course we do know not everybody has a mental capacity to perform these jobs. But we believe many people are, and there is a room for improvement here. Of course, this requires also a certain structural change, and we know, being academics, that the university is very rigid and very conservative platform that is very hard to change. And any attempts of changing it and trying to make it more modern are usually unsuccessful. So here are the policy recommendations also to actually create a new independent institutions that will actually be outside of existing university structures, to make sure that the appropriate dynamism within those institutions is created. Secondly, We look at the opportunities and threats arising from a green revolution that is upcoming, especially in Europe, that is heavily resisted also in Central Europe and until recently in the USA, which will likely change at the beginning of the next year, as USA is supposed to re-enter the Paris Agreement. But this could be also a push towards the reskilling of the people from the industries that are currently being automated. We think about thinking about using the COVID-19 crisis and the necessary change to service industry so that the industry is ready to perform its duties after the pandemics. As we know, this industry is mostly affected. Of course, the effect is highly disproportional, as certain areas of the service industry are not hit as much as the others. And clearly we have here so-called key-shaped shock, where certain industries are actually blooming while others are slowly dying. And of course, there is a huge push required for kickstarting certain regions. Here in the context of EU, we are talking about the programs of resetting the industries in Central Europe that is mostly heavily dependent on automated industries, to make sure that those countries will not lag behind. This is also a separate problem for countries outside of EU that need to find their own sources of financing for this problem. As I said, in case you're interested in the report, feel free to find it and download it. If you would like to discuss those subjects more, besides the question and answer session in the moment, please feel free to email me. You'll find my contact details right on the screen. And as I see we are approaching the end of the time for my lecture, I'll finish here and await any questions you may have.
Well, thank you, Professor Thomas, for the good speech, good presentation that you shared with us. And for right now, I would like to ask Dr. Sema, is there any question on our channel?
No question.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Professor. And hopefully that I would like to see you in our next symposium.
In Turkey?
If you get time, then.
Oh, definitely. I've never missed that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.